Hey bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with my first trimester recap. So obviously this video isn't going to be about books, so if you're not interested in this stuff, pregnancy stuff, then feel free to skip this video. If you didn't see, I recently announced that I was pregnant, and what you're about to see is basically the second half of that announcement video. When I sat down and filmed that video, I talked for way too long and I wasn't able to really cut it down as much as I thought. It was like a 40-minute video, so I decided to cut it in half. So this part of the video is still like a little over 20 minutes long, and I apologize. So really, if you're not interested in hearing about how my first trimester went, no pressure to watch this, but I know that the majority of people who watch my channel are actually women, just based on YouTube analytics and things. What I'm going to be talking about in this video are the appointments that I went to during my first trimester, and then also at the end I talk about some of my symptoms that I had and do a quick little belly shot at the end. I also did forget just a handful of symptoms that I had, so I'm going to film that clip now and add that at the end of the video too. But like I said, this is the second half of the video, so it starts kind of abruptly. Basically where I'm going to start talking is after, in my last video, I talked about getting the positive pregnancy tests, and I did 2 beta HCG draws that were 48 hours apart to make sure that my HCG was rising normally, which it was. And then I hop into what you're going to see next. But it was a really great sign, and I was able to schedule a scan for around 6 weeks because we, again, wanted to make sure that the pregnancy was located in my uterus this time, because last time it wasn't. So I was so nervous for my 6-week appointment, but I went in and there was something in my uterus. It was a baby, and I just was so relieved to see that it was there, and you could see the little flicker of the heartbeat, and they like measured it and everything was looking good at that point. And so I let out a huge sigh of relief, and my next appointment that I made was for my 8-week appointment. So at my fertility specialist, you get a 6-week scan and an 8-week scan, and if everything still looks good, then you graduate out of the fertility office and you go see like your OB or your midwife or whatever. So I went back for my 8-week appointment, and once again I was nervous because early losses can happen, and 6 to 8 weeks is like a common time for a loss to happen. So I was just like so nervous that I'd go in and there would be a heartbeat, but I was so happy to see that everything was still going well. I got a few more pictures from that scan, but my favorite one is this one that I'll pop in here because the baby just looks like a gummy bear, and I just started calling it a gummy bear after that, my little gummy bear. But I have to say that after every appointment, after seeing the baby, I would be like kind of relaxed and feel good about it for like a week, and then the anxiety would come back. So my next appointment after my 8-week appointment was a 10-week appointment with a midwife group that I started seeing. And between 8 and 10 weeks, I was a nervous wreck. I was so stressed out. I kept seeing stories online of people who went in at like 10 or 11 weeks to find no heartbeat, and I was just like so nervous. But my midwife appointment went well. I didn't get a scan that time. Midwives in general like don't do as many scans, but we did get to listen to the heartbeat on the Doppler, and it was really cool because this was actually the first appointment my husband was able to come to because of COVID and stuff. My RE's office, my fertility specialist, wouldn't allow any visitors, but I was allowed to bring one person to my midwife's office. So my husband got to hear the heartbeat like in person. Every other time it'd just been like a recording on my phone. So that was really exciting. And at my 10-week midwife appointment, I asked for NIPT, which is a blood test that screens for chromosomal abnormalities. If you don't know, I do have a genetics background, and so this was something that I was very interested in doing. Not only do you find out if there are any chromosomal abnormalities or like your risk of having a chromosomal abnormality, but you also find out the sex of the baby, which I very much wanted to know. We had previously kind of gone back and forth about whether or not we want to find out the sex of the baby. I had in the past been in the camp of not wanting to know and wanting to be a surprise. My husband has always wanted to know. After going through the ectopic and just having waited so long for this pregnancy, I just I wanted to know so that I could plan ahead. And just like, for me, having information is calming and it helps me to relax more. And that's a big reason why I wanted not only to know the sex, but to do the NIPT screening. So I had my blood drawn that day for the screening test, and then I anxiously waited for another 10 days. At this time, I did actually buy an at-home fetal Doppler to listen to the baby's heartbeat on my own. This is kind of like controversial whether or not people think you should do that, but for me, I was just having so much anxiety. Like I said, every time I would go to a doctor's appointment and see that everything was fine, I'd be like good for like 5 days, and then I'd be like a wreck of anxiety. I decided to buy it because I knew that it would help my anxiety, but I also knew I was taking a risk in buying it because, especially at like 10 weeks, it can be really hard to find the heartbeat on a fetal Doppler. You know, every person's anatomy is a bit different, and babies can kind of like hide, and it can be hard to find the heartbeat, and then you don't want to like unnecessarily stress yourself out when you can't find the heartbeat and things like that. So take that with a grain of salt. But I did do that. I bought that at like 10 weeks after that appointment because I knew that it would help my anxiety, and I just had been such on a roller coaster of emotions throughout the whole, like, so far into the pregnancy. Okay, so after my 10-week appointment, like I said, I was waiting like 10 days for the results from the NIPT test. My husband and I opened the results together so that we could see the results at the same time, and we found out that we're having a boy, which is so very exciting. I will say I've always wanted to have a girl. I mean, I knew I would be happy either way, but I was nervous that I would be disappointed when I saw that it was a boy because I want a girl so badly. But honestly, I was just excited. It just means that we have to try again because I would like at least to have one more kid, and I would like it to be a girl, but if it's a boy again, it'll be totally fine. I was worried that I was going to have some sort of disappointment with those results, and I was really happy when I didn't have any sort of disappointment. It was just pure excitement. And of course, all of the chromosomal abnormalities, I came back as low risk, so that was a huge relief as well, especially because I was expecting to get the results closer to like 7 days, and they took a few days longer, and I was like, oh my god, does that mean something's wrong? So I was really happy when everything came back normal. We went to Target so I could get supplies to put together this little announcement picture that I made, which I'm very proud of. I like went through Instagram for like inspiration to figure out how we wanted to do like the, I don't know, they call it gender reveal, sex reveal. It's probably more appropriate. I didn't really want to do it in a way that involved blue or pink, so that's why it's all monotone and like grays and whites. But I'm really happy with the way this picture turned out, and I'm like not very creative or artistic, so I was just really happy with the way this came out. And it was a fun way to share with our friends and family because I just like sent them the picture for the reveal or whatever. It kind of served as a dual purpose picture because some of our friends that we sent it to didn't know we were pregnant at all, and then like our family knew that we were pregnant, but they didn't know if it was a boy or girl, so they were able to find out that way. And then I did have a 12-week appointment for a scan called a Nuchal Scan or an NT scan. This is, again, something that I wanted because of my genetics background. A lot of times people get NT scans along with some blood work to get a risk for chromosomal abnormalities. I didn't do the blood work part of it because I had already done NIPT, which is actually more accurate than the scan plus the blood work, because it's like that blood work is measuring like your hormones and other things, and you measure this fluid-filled space at the back of the baby's neck, and if it is larger than it should be, then there's an increased chance that there might be something wrong with the heart, which can be caused by chromosomal abnormalities. So that's how those things tie together. But anyways, the NT scan looked great, and we got more pictures of the baby when it was a little bit bigger, so that was really cool. The only thing that was like not that great at this appointment was that my blood pressure was really high. It was like 140 over like 90, 150 over 90. It was, I don't know, kind of high. And I had remembered that at my midwife's appointment 2 weeks before that, they said my blood pressure was a little bit high then too, but I was like really nervous before my midwife's appointment. Like I said, I was having a lot of anxiety about whether or not there would be a heartbeat, and so I had kind of we had all chalked it up to that. So having 2 high readings in a row and like 150 is kind of really high. That doctor wanted me to do some blood work and a urine test. Like I had to collect my urine for 24 hours for them to test it and make sure like my kidneys were working. But luckily all of that came back normal, and I've been tracking my blood pressures at home and they've been mostly normal, like maybe a tad high, but still like totally within normal range. My midwives have been really happy with that. They did recommend that I start taking baby aspirin. It's something that's recommended for a lot of people for different reasons, but it can help prevent preeclampsia, which is, it happens later in pregnancy, but your blood pressure goes really high and it causes all kinds of problems and you have to like deliver the baby early, which I, obviously would want to avoid. Preeclampsia is actually pretty scary. So anything that I can do to help like lower my risk for that, like taking baby aspirin, I am willing and wanting to do. So that was the only thing that was like not great that came out of that appointment. But other than that, like the baby looked great. And even that doctor, even though it was like really early at 12 weeks, he was like, do you want to know what you're having? And I was like, well, we did NIPT. Toby, stop. I told him we did NIPT and we know it's a boy, and he was like, yeah, I can confirm it's a boy, I can see it. So that was kind of cool that he was able to see that on the ultrasound, even though we were only at like 12 weeks, and it was like 12 and a half weeks. And then since then, I did have a 14-week appointment with my midwives, which was just, once again, checking in, kind of going over symptoms. We talked about the blood pressure stuff, and we got to hear the baby's heartbeat again on the Doppler. After that 14-week appointment was when I wanted to announce the pregnancy here on YouTube. I just really wanted to wait until I was further along in the pregnancy to make sure that everything was going smoothly, and I don't know, I don't want to say PTSD, but losing the last pregnancy was really traumatic, and it was really therapeutic for me to be able to talk about it here on the channel. But I didn't want to like make a video, like a happy, excited video, and come back like 2 weeks later with bad news. Obviously, bad things can happen at any point in the pregnancy, so like I'm definitely not out of the woods or anything, but the chances are low and things are looking really good, and I couldn't keep it a secret anymore. A lot of my closer booktube friends have known for a while that I was pregnant, and I wanted to share the good news with you guys. Just real quick, I will talk about my symptoms. I don't have a whole lot to say. I think I've been fairly lucky with my symptoms. So when I went to my very first appointment with my fertility specialist at 6 weeks, I was starting to feel nauseous. I hadn't thrown up or anything, but I was feeling nauseous and like really tired already. So my symptoms kind of started early, like right around the 5-week mark. So I had 1 week of like not feeling great. And I told my fertility specialist that, and she was like, well, don't suffer for too long. A lot of women don't want to take anything during pregnancy, and they'd rather just be really sick. But, your quality of life is important too. So she suggested that I could take vitamin B6 along with Unisom. It's a really commonly recommended over-the-counter like remedy for pregnancy nausea, and I'm happy to say that it pretty much worked. For the rest of my first trimester, well, I'm not taking as much vitamin 6. I kind of cut down on that because I wasn't really feeling like it was doing much, but I'm definitely still doing the Unisom, and I really think that it helped, because for the rest of my first trimester up until now, my nausea hasn't been bad. I will say that, I don't know, probably starting at like 6.5 or 7 weeks, I started throwing up in the mornings. Basically what would happen is I would wake up in the morning and I would spend 15 to 20 minutes with the toilet, and I would dry heave. And at first I wasn't actually throwing up, it was just dry heaving, but then I got to a point where I was throwing up every morning, and it was just like bile and stuff. Like there wasn't anything in my stomach. Some women say first thing when you wake up, eat a granola bar, or I've seen some women say like drink this like nausea pregnancy tea in the morning before you get out of bed. And I tried both of those things, and it just led me to have something in my stomach to throw up. So I decided I would rather have an empty stomach. So between like 6.5, 7 weeks to probably like 11 weeks, I was throwing up every morning. So that wasn't fun. But the good news was, after I spent 20 minutes with the toilet after waking up, I was mostly fine the rest of the day. I would occasionally get a little bit nauseous, and I have these little sour candies that are called Preggy Pops. I would just pop one in my mouth and go get something to eat, and then I'd be fine. I honestly struggled a lot more with the exhaustion in the first trimester, and honestly, it's not totally gone yet. I'm definitely feeling more energy now, like within the last 2 weeks, like starting around 14 weeks, I think, but I'm still sleeping a lot. It was worse earlier on, like 6 to 8 weeks. I was probably taking a nap after work almost every day and definitely every Saturday. And then the weekday naps kind of went away, but I would kind of be like useless all day Saturday and just lay on the couch, and then I'd have some energy on Sunday after having rested on Saturday. I have been having a little bit more energy the past couple of weeks, so I'm hoping that'll keep ramping up in the second trimester and I can get back to making videos like I was. I have been fairly consistently reading, a little slower maybe than I would like. I've also been dabbling in reading some baby books, which is kind of cut into my other reading time a little bit. Oh my god, I have been talking forever. Oh, cravings. I have been craving, not very often, but occasionally I have been having cravings, and usually they're for foods that I used to eat as a kid. I've always loved like blue box mac and cheese, and my husband makes fun of me for it because he can make like really good homemade mac and cheese, and I've just always preferred having Kraft. Like I don't know why, I just like it. I think because I grew up with it. I definitely had a couple of cravings for that, so now we always keep a box of blue box mac and cheese in the house. And the other thing that was kind of weird, because I literally hadn't eaten it in like 20 years. One night my husband wanted to make chili dogs, and he asked me if I wanted one, and I was like, no, I don't really want a chili dog. And I was like, but you know what? I kind of want a Frito pie. And so he made me a Frito pie, and it was so good. I literally had not eaten a Frito pie in like 20 years. If you don't know what a Frito pie is, it's like chili with Fritos and cheese, and like that's it. And we would use spicy Fritos. So good. Oh, you know what? I've been having a lot of headaches, which is funny because there's like an old wives' tale that if you have a lot of headaches, you're having a boy. Happened to be true for me, but I'm also kind of a headache prone person, so I'm not surprised I'm having a lot of headaches, and it can just also happen because your blood volume really goes up when you're pregnant. Like my midwives recommended taking magnesium supplements for that. Okay guys, so future Jade here again. I just want to tell you real quick about a few more symptoms that I had during the first trimester. I didn't mention these in the first time that I filmed this video. I think mostly because these are like weird symptoms, and in my mind I was only thinking about like all the really common things that people talk about. Oh, I just remembered one more that's actually pretty common too. Anyways, I'm gonna talk about a few more. I guess the one that is like pretty common that I didn't mention that I just now thought of and is not even in my notes is like weird pregnancy dreams that started pretty early, like around 5 to 6 weeks, and I still have them now. I am like 17 and a half weeks now. But yeah, if you haven't heard, that's one people talk about. I think that one kind of catches some people off guard, but it is one that I was aware of. But yeah, you just get like these really weird, vivid dreams about random stuff. It's so weird. Okay, so another one that I thought was really weird, and at first I wasn't sure was actually a pregnancy symptom until I Googled it. I mean, it's debatable. There are definitely other women who have asked on forums like, is this something you guys have felt? And other people will be like, oh yeah, that started for me too. So basically, pretty early on, and still now, I noticed that when I would like stretch like in the mornings, like, you know, just like stretch like this, my abs would hurt. Like they felt like I'd done a bunch of crunches the day before, which I most definitely had not been working out. And apparently that could be part of pregnancy. Another one that is super weird that I totally thought I was kind of just saying was a pregnancy symptom, but it definitely started after I got pregnant. But I really didn't think that it was like related until I Googled it, and other women were saying it was happening to them too. But basically, it doesn't happen every time I sneeze, but a lot of the times that I sneeze, I double sneeze. And I don't just mean like I sneeze twice in a row, like that's not weird, right? I sneeze and then I sneeze again before I'm even done with the first sneeze. And that, I can't remember that ever happening to me before I got pregnant. It is the weirdest thing. I like to joke that I'm sneezing for two, as do other people who I've seen like on the forums that have this. I totally thought I was crazy when I was first noticing it, but it really never happened before I got pregnant, and it like I said, it's not every time I sneeze now, but I'd say maybe like 50% of the time, 25 to 50% of the time that I sneeze, I do this weird double sneeze where I sneeze again before I'm even done with my first sneeze. It is so weird. Another thing that happened to me, it actually only happened to me twice, and it wasn't until the second time it happened that I like Googled it to see if it was like a pregnancy thing, because I thought it was so weird. Apparently taking like really hot showers can make you nauseous. But Christmas Day, I took like an afternoon shower because I was gonna go run by my family's house and drop off presents and stuff. I took a shower, and after I got out of the shower, I threw up. I got so nauseous. And that had never happened to me before. I don't usually get sick in the middle of the day, and I thought that was super weird, but I was like, whatever, just random. But then the next time I took a shower, I got super nauseous after taking the shower, and I was like, this is so weird. I had to like sit on a stool for like 10 minutes after I got out of the shower, just waiting for the nausea to go away. I didn't throw up that time. And I Googled it, and apparently a lot of women get nauseous after they take showers. They say like, you know, try not to eat right before your shower or take a cooler shower, which I did for a few showers. After that, I like didn't make it quite so hot. And then I was able to make it hot again, and it was fine because I take really hot showers. But that was one that I had never heard of before, and it happened to me twice. Not too many times, but it was kind of unexpected, so I wanted to share that. And then this last one, it might be a little TMI for some people. I'm thinking that most people watching this, at least this part of the video, are women. But one thing I was not expecting, and it only happened for like a couple of weeks, I'd say between 5 and 7 weeks, I think it was happening, and then it kind of went away. At that point, it was still hot where I live, or at least it wasn't cold yet, even though it was November. And I was sleeping in shorts, but I would wake up in the morning with like crotch sweat. I don't want to say that, but like the inside, my inner thighs would be like sweaty. And it was so weird. I'd never had that before. And I was wearing shorts, and like I wasn't hot, but apparently, you know, your sweat changes and stuff when you get pregnant. I will say, like, in general now, like being 17 and a half weeks, I do sweat more and have to like wear deodorant more than I used to before I got pregnant, but I'm not having the weird like sweating between my thighs thing anymore. But that was one that was happening really consistently for like 2 weeks. I would wake up with like sweaty thighs, and I just thought that was really weird, but apparently that's a pregnancy thing. Okay, and those are all of the symptoms that I can remember to talk about from my first trimester. So I guess we'll just get into the end of this video. But yeah, no other symptoms really other than that. I've been trying to be a little more active because I'm honestly not, like, I'm not someone who works out a lot. I've been going on walks a few times a week, just like 30-minute walks. I've been trying to do some prenatal yoga a few times a week. I've been trying to do some meditation a few times a week, especially after I found out about the high blood pressure thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I really need to do yoga and meditate and stuff. Yeah, I think that is all that I want to talk about in this video. I'm so sorry this was so long. Hopefully you guys found it interesting, and if you didn't make it to the end, that's totally fine. And real quick, before I turn the camera off, I will just show you my stomach, which honestly, there's really not much to see. You know, I am a first-time mom, or like this is my first pregnancy, and you're not really supposed to show until, they say like, you know, 12 to 14 weeks anyways. So I do feel like I have a little bit of a bump, but it's small. But this is my little bump. I actually think it was bigger for a couple of weeks, but it was bloat. Oh gosh, Toby. I'm wearing black, so you can't really see when I turn forward, but there's a little bit of a bump there. And this is me sucking in. If I like don't suck in, there's more, but that's just like food baby, really. If I suck in, there's a little bit of a bump. I'll probably do like a second trimester update as well. I'm not going to do these pregnancy updates too often, but I'll try to remember to take little bump shots when I'm filming other videos to include in my second trimester update, because I haven't taken any bump shots so far in this pregnancy, which kind of surprises me because with the first pregnancy that I lost at 6 weeks, at week 4, I took a bump shot even though there was nothing there. I just wanted to like start documenting it. And I think maybe that was a little traumatic for me, and so I haven't taken any sorts of pictures or anything with this pregnancy. But starting now, and you know, if I'm hopefully getting into a filming routine, I'll try to take little video clips as part of my filming process and just like save them for the second trimester update. If you guys like pregnancy videos, like I don't want to do a whole lot because this is a book channel, but for those of you who are interested in them, because I love watching like pregnancy and mom videos, let me know what topics you would like to see or what you're interested in. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more bookish videos. This wasn't a bookish video. Anyways, until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye.